East Hampton School Board, we are live. And, phone lines are up too.
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it. Good morning. I usually say good evening, but good morning. Time to call the meeting to order.
Make a motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Turn it over to you, Adam.
Yes, the board had requested an update on our pre-K program. So Karen Cunith, principal, is going to give us a brief overview on the current pre-K.
Thank you. I'm going to skip over, and maybe at the end we can look at some photos, but I have a little photo slideshow of pre-K. So good morning, everyone. You all should have a copy of our presentation so that you can read along. I thought I would begin with an overview of our enrollment history in pre-K, starting in the 18-19 school year. As you can see on the chart, our enrollment has gone down over the past 5 years. What I will show you later in the presentation, however, is that while enrollment has gone down, student need has gone up. So it's an interesting dynamic that we have going on in pre-K. You may be aware that the state mandates that classes of 18 and under in pre-K are staffed by 2 adults, 1 teacher and 1 aide. If the class is 19 or 20 students, the state requires 3 adults, 1 teacher and 2 aides. So if we look at the 22-23 school year, where we projected that enrollment was going to be on the lower side, one, I'll show you later how many students were receiving special ed out of that group. But also, once you hit that 19 or 20 mark, it would be hiring another staff member to make 3 adults in that classroom. So it's always that balance of running the 4 sections or running those 3 sections. And I've been, pleased with having the 4 sections. The maximum group size, because we are UPK, is 20. So you cannot go over 20 students. It's not an option. If you also see under staffing per classroom, you can see that we have lessened the number of adults in the room. So when the program started, the first 3 years, there were 3 full-time adults assigned to the room, even though the numbers mandated 2 adults. And as time has gone on, we've gotten conscious of that and have, used the minimum 2 adults with a shared para. So currently there's 1 teacher, 1 TA, and a shared para in pre-K. Any questions on the enrollment?
Special ed, the special ed students have their own classroom, or these are special ed students that either could be in a contained classroom or they're in and out? It's both, or it's both, probably both.
So mostly it's students who are the students in the classroom. When we look at my last slide, it's our students who are being serviced in our building. Students who qualify for a special ed pre-K are attending an out of school placement. So if you're qualifying for more than speech and maybe an occasional OT, again, that's a decision for the Committee for Special Education, but typically those placements are outside of our building in a special setting.
Right. So we have a lot of students that need a one-on-one aid.
Not in pre-K.
Not pre-K.
So pre-K services are really limited again to speech and OT. Students have a CSE meeting between pre-K and kindergarten to determine if they have a full IEP. So services in pre-K are not provided by the district, they're provided by the county.
Okay, so and we run a pre-K for only our 4-year-olds?
Yes.
And our sending districts, of all our sending districts, does every other of our sending districts run a pre-K?
Springs does now.
They do run a pre-K, but I don't think they run a 3. I think
No, they run a 4.
our neighboring
I
districts
mean,
all run a 4.
all of our sending districts run a 4.
Yes.
And I'll ask this question again. We don't have the space to run a 3, or we?
Currently, we don't have the space to run a 3, but when we get further into the presentation, the data, our students are coming in higher and higher need as 4-year-olds.
I was gonna say, because from what I understand, the kids that need services that are not in our school are going to a special school.
Right.
That special school has a waiting list. So those kids could very well be sitting home.
Is that the school in Southampton, Sandy?
That could happen, Sandy, because
Okay,
if
so
our
then
program
people
is
end up
not,
getting students that have had no, okay.
so if our program is not appropriate, then the CSE can, work on getting them in an alternate placement. But our local alternate placements have very long waiting lists. And recently, and again, really Cindy should be speaking to this, recently we have been able to take some of those students off the waiting list and they're currently attending full-time programs. But locally, there are only so many special ed settings,
settings,
for our 3 and 4 year olds.
They used to go to BOCES years ago, many years ago.
Now it's really alternatives or Head Start.
Three and a half,
or where
they would go to
students
BOCES.
would go. I jumped ahead if we want to look at that last slide, just to get a sense. As I mentioned, that we've seen an increase in number of students receiving services in pre-K, and again, most often it's speech at this age. Students may or may not qualify for a full IEP in kindergarten. So some students have speech and it's articulation and they get the services they need and they don't need a full IEP. But as evidenced by our 2 inclusion settings this year in kindergarten, we had enough students to run. So we have 2 inclusion and 2 dual in kindergarten because of the number of students. So back in 1819, 7 students received speech. And remember, that was a larger group. In 1925 students. 2021, the data is really skewed. We had half day pre-K. 2021, 6, last year 15, and this year 14, and 2 are being evaluated right now. So potentially, 16 students receiving special ed services, 4-year-olds. 4-year-olds.
So just quickly looking, right now, we have 58 kids in our pre-K, right?
Correct.
And of those 58 kids, we have 14 or 15, 14 that need.
Yes, and we have outside providers providing that speech service because, again, it's provided by the county. We're very grateful.
Double since we started.
Yes,
Class size is smaller and needs are higher.
yes. Well said, JP. That's exactly it. So I thought I'd just briefly cover academic curriculum in pre-K. Our pre-K team wrote our pre-K curriculum. It's thematic. So some examples of those themes are space, the seasons, healthy foods, and students have a very short whole group lesson. It depends on their attention span. It can be 10 minutes. It can be at max 20 minutes. And then they move to centers and they work in small groups where the teachers can really modify the activity based on their skill level. So if there are 4 activities happening, they might all be doing measuring, but they might all be doing it differently to meet their level of where they can be successful at that skill of measuring. Students have art 1 time a week. They have heritage, which is FLES, so they get Spanish 3 times a week, and they have PE daily. Okay.
And the school day for them is the same as the other students?
It is not. It's shorter by 45 minutes in the morning and 45 minutes in the afternoon.
And
So it's
we
8:50 to 2:50.
we have buses that.
No,
Yeah.
our 4-year-olds do not ride the bus. It's parent
So-
drop off and parent pickup.
Okay. And would we get more students if we gave bus service? And giving bus service, that would mean
Yeah.
expanded
We
program.
can.
You can't get
Yeah.
bus service to the 4-year-olds.
Why can't we get bus service?
I don't believe UPK
Allowed?
allows for that.
Oh, okay. Do parents know that?
Well, they certainly know that it's not an option when they register. They
Yeah,
know
right.
that transportation is not an option. Project Most does hold our pre-K students. So if you're a pre-K and you register for Project Most, because the day is a little shorter, I know it can be difficult for working families,
Okay.
students can stay. It is a long day for a 4-year-old, but it is an option.
And then with respect to Project Most, all the parents that want Project Most from John Marshall are getting it?
John, I'd have to check in if there's currently a waiting list, but I know it was very small this year. When we had one at the beginning of the
We
year, it was very
expanded a
small.
little bit. I think.
We
Yeah.
did. We've added extra sections of both Homework Club and Project Most.
Great.
I'm going to share with you some anecdotals from the pre-K team. Recently, the state has asked us to look at the screening tool that we use for pre-K. So I don't have quantitative data, but moving forward, I'll be able to have more data to measure different skills like expressive communication, fine and gross motor skills, perception, because we're going to put a new assessment in place. It's a new screening tool that will happen 3 times a year. So it'll happen prior to coming into pre-K, so the teachers will know where those students are starting, mid-year, so a baseline, a mid-year, and then a final. So we'll be able to see those skills when students come in and then see their growth. And that assessment will start next year. Our teachers are being trained on it now. But for the purposes of this presentation, I asked the pre-K teachers to identify 3 or 4 skills that they felt students were less prepared in this year than they were 5 years ago when we started pre-K. And the response was listening and following directions. Teachers were drawing parallels to the lack of expectations children have in the home to follow directions, and therefore in school, they're having a more difficult time, but certainly are being taught and making progress, but they're coming in with less ability to listen and follow specific direction. Self-help skills. So the teachers reported that in the past, students were able to put their jackets on independently and the teachers would have to help zip. But this year they're finding that students need that support even putting the jacket on. So some of those basic self-help skills that students had 5 years ago, they're seeing that diminished. Lack of background knowledge. The teachers also reported that students are arriving in pre-K with less exposure and background knowledge, that students this year have had greater difficulty identifying animals, seasons, and foods than they did 5 years ago. So they're feeling, again, this is all anecdotal, is that there's less exposure to those things in the home than there were 5 years ago. And then lastly, self-regulation and coping. And I know that this is a skill they work very hard on in pre-K, and our students are already showing growth. But just, when they're told no or not getting what they're asking for, or if they're loving an activity and they're being asked to transition, teachers have identified that that's more difficult for students now than it was just 5 years ago. So again, in the future, I'll be able to really provide more detailed data about those skills, but I wanted you to just have an idea of, what the pre-K team is saying about their preparedness for school.
Karen,
Yes.
the pre-K kids, is there a breakfast, when they come for breakfast? We are offering free breakfast every year.
We are offering free breakfast. Our pre-K students come in and they don't formally have the free breakfast. It's available to them. They have snack, usually through the classroom teacher or what's packed at home right away. And then they have lunch. So, and then snack sometimes again in the afternoon before their rest time. So,
And the reason, or, just so somebody's listening, the reason we have free lunch for our students is because our school qualifies for that program.
yes, for
It's paid
CEP.
for by the state.
Yes,
State mandates and reimburses us, right?
yes. And last time I checked, it's probably been 2 weeks, we were serving about 260 breakfasts, and that's including breakfast club in the morning. So, 260 at least are eating breakfast in the morning at John Marshall.
And that's throughout all our schools, right?
Yes. Anyone have any questions? I'm happy to answer questions. Overall, the program is an extreme success. I know parents are so pleased, having their children at John Marshall. Our team is amazing. They continue to want to grow and learn. They're learning this new assessment.
Do you, and I know this is not for 24-25, so I don't want to mislead the public. If we were to pursue the pre-K grant for 3-year-olds, what do you envision the length of a 3-year-old day? Like space requirement would be would we be running half days?
Yes.
We do like 4 sections in 2 rooms?
Yes.
2 sections in 1 room?
Yes.
Okay.
2 sections in one. We could even start 2 sections, 1 room, and see what the community buy-in is for that, right? And then expand to 4 sections, 2 rooms, if there's, community interest.
Well, I definitely think we need to think about it, because I think that's one of the issues. Our kids aren't getting an experience. The 4-year-olds are coming in with absolutely no experience, whereas years ago, we had the session house, we had Head Start, we had neighborhood house, we had
At pre-K orientation,
parents, kids went there.
at pre-K orientation this year, I asked them for them this was their child's first school setting, and 3. So that's a huge for both the child and for the pre-K team.
A long day.
It's a long day to start.
Yeah, to just start.
But because we have so many working parents, a lot of parents put their kids in, I don't know, it could be school.
We're talking about a lot of
And Eleanor
children
Spurgeon.
are home or with
Do they have
babysitters.
to agree?
I think so.
And then sending them to school at 4 for a full day, and they haven't had any experience in that. I think that we're gonna have to think about contributing.
Well, and you would be able to, because believe as
That
opposed to
could be.
4 years old, you could get them started earlier and maybe, headed off at the pass a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Instead of-
The
Need to
approval
think about
process,
that.
the approval process for the pre-K four grant, has gotten much more complicated. And I think it speaks to this message that they too, as a state, are looking at this and just kind of piggyback that. I mean, the teachers that we had were complimented, in the approval process because the curriculum they had to submit. When Karen spoke of a screening tool that, something the state is leaning towards, they're leaning towards more standardized curriculum, but our staff created a series of curriculum units, a few years ago, and they knocked me down to rewrite some of them, and they were really complimented, and it's due to their dedication by the state. And so I had to, send every unit to this state, and I was, grinding a letter. And I love my teachers. The state was very complimentary to the lessons that they were doing and how it really balanced that. So I think that's a respect.
We would have to you would have to look into, I think 2 steps. If Karen can kind of survey some of other principals in other districts that are running, universal 3, pre-K, and maybe Tim could look into, because I know this is a
Application
bear.
process.
This is a bear. I know the 3. I know the 4 was originally.
But I think we all agree that it's certainly a way. I mean, like even, with my own children having access to the neighborhood house
Big difference.
and others that, I know had access to the session house, I think that this is all speaking to
What's available.
consistent kind of availability as, whether it's a country school or neighborhood house
No.
or whatever.
No,
They're done.
no,
And
session house.
I believe Amagansett and Bridgehampton do offer
Project most might.
pre-K for 3. Any other of our sending districts that do that?
Not that I can speak of articulately, John. I'd have to do my homework on that.
Doesn't matter. I mean, we don't have the space right now. But I think I think because we have so many working parents, that I think that it's wrong for these kids to be isolated. If we can get them into a school, and I think we should do it.
So I'll pull some districts in Suffolk County and get that information back
We
to Alan
definitely
to share
look
with
into
you.
Listen, our 4-year-old program is a huge success. I mean, look
It
how
is.
well, look at where we were and where we are today, and it's great. So, I mean, let's maybe.
If we can add to
if
that,
we
why
can add to it,
not?
we should.
I mean, that's what we're here for.
Listen, exactly. If you can't do that, then what's the point? I mean, honestly, I think it's great. I love to see it.
Yes, thank you, Karen.
Sure, thank you.
As I was driving to school today, I thought with that freezing, can you imagine, if we didn't have a school, imagine what these kids would, I mean, of course, public education, but God bless us, what we were cavemen.
It'd be cold.
It would be cold, but you would be used to
What
the
a
cold.
wonderful opportunity to come to a nice warm building and meet your friends and learn and grow. It's, God bless America. I guess.
Yes,
Excellent.
thanks again.
I'm gonna go a little bit out of order because, we have Brittany's here. So I want to do her tenure now, so she can go back about her day. So it's gonna be, for anybody following with 7.03, it's under the superintendent's report and recommendation. And I'm gonna read the section. So, recommended that the board grant Brittany Thompson tenure in the tenure area of mathematics, certified grades 7 through 12, effective January 25th, 2024. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Out of the ordinary. Yeah, you can go.
Nadia has to stay, but you have.
They were very lucky to have her. I'm sure you all know that. She's been in East Hampton like she's always been here. So it's
Great.
very easy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Congratulations, definitely congratulations.
Thank you.
I think she has a good speech. It's a different setting. Last night she went that.
Okay.
Can I ask my math question?
No.
When is a rhombus a rectangle?
When is a rhombus a rectangle? When it has 90-degree angle.
Come on, when is a rhombus a rectangle? Who knows the answer? What's a rhombus?
4 equals.
4 equal sides. What's a rectangle? 4 equal angles, right? What four-sided figure has 4 equal sides and 4 equal angles? A square. She wins. Double the salary.
Hey, wait, I said that.
Did you say square?
I did.
I heard her. I said it.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Congrats.
Congratulations. All right, move on to news of schools.
Yeah, so I have a few, Kathy's up at section 11 and Charlie's running a program in his building today. Athletics, we're halfway through the winter season. Our teams are all still in the fight. Middle school, late winter, started yesterday. 42 boys trying out for volleyball, 21 boys for wrestling, 33 girls for basketball. Melina Sarlo and Nico Haran Puglia are this year's Suffolk Zone Award winners and will be honored Wednesday, February 28th at Villa Lombardi's at 6:30 p.m. Charlie's, of course, has a lot of words in it. For Martin Luther King Day, all social studies teachers took a half day or full day last week to put Martin Luther King and a public holiday in context this year. In grade 6, our students listened to and talked about the entire I Have a Dream speech and rather than just excerpts, something we knew we tried this year. In grade 8, students will have a full 2-week unit on civil rights, segregation, and the 1960s later in the year, but all grades discuss Martin Luther King now to help students understand why we observe this holiday. Project Hero started yesterday with 8 teaching artists and actors and runs for 3 half days, mornings, today and Thursday. It's very popular anti-bull and respect kindness program. Charlie spoke to the foundation about the program earlier this year because they funded it at the entire $9,500. Thank you very much. We are preparing the building for computer-based testing. Yay. For all grades on Friday, the 26th of January, the middle school will run Chromebook simulations for all students and staff to help everyone become familiar and comfortable with the secure site for the New York State testing. Chuck Westergaard and our whole tech department has been working with the middle school to make sure they are ready. All middle schools will begin their dance and movement unit in physical education early at the end of the month as the building starts to gear up for the Mad Heart group dance off and pizza night in February. It's one of our signature programs. More to come. Finally, we have some significant professional development coming for the middle school staff. 2 days on reading and writing and critical thinking with Victor Giacarino, which I discussed with the curriculum committee on the 24th and 25th. Thank you. Sarah.
Okay, good morning. And just anecdotally, as you know, Karen's the expert, but as a parent who recently had a child in the pre-K program, thank you. It was outstanding. And I think she's part of that data that has trouble zipping her coat, but let alone getting out of the house, but that's neither here nor there. But I wanted to show you our mural for the Martin Luther King East End competition this year. I did not think I could be more proud of our students after their Rosa Parks mural last year. But as you know, the mosaic symbolizes the power of the individual they have when working with the community. And so each panel is done by a different student. And this year they chose to do Allie Forney, who I was not familiar with, but that is a homeless, gender non-conforming youth from New York City. Forney was a peer counselor and an advocate for homeless, lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender youth who was tragically murdered in Harlem. On the heels of that, the Allie Forney Center was opened in 2002 in their memory. And they are committed to advocating for LGBTQ plus youth and have so many services there for that population to support them. And I was just so proud of our students for choosing such an inclusive figure And they chose the quote, there wasn't that much out there in terms of quotes from Allie Forney, but they chose a E.E. Cummings quote. It takes courage to grow up to become who you really are. So we are very proud of our Mrs. Zavarian and our art club students for creating such a moving, meaningful piece. So they just keep getting better every year. And I will say, when I go on the East End and I see, all of the pieces from the other schools, I am biased, but we are always the best and most outstanding. So I wanted to show you that. Speaking of our artwork, there is a guild hall opening of our student work, and it's actually the elementary school, I believe the middle school, and also sending districts and our high school students have an opening at Guild Hall this Saturday of their eco versus ego work that they have done over the past couple of years. And that exhibit will be up through February. Great news on the Little Food Pantry. We're going to file this one under good things come to those who wait. So it did take a while because Mr. Rigby's second period class was working on it. They are up, they are built. We put ours in the corner out here. And we are going to be rotating, stocking those through our clubs and our individual students for community service hours. Our goal is really to have the students take ownership of it and stock it. So thank you for that idea. And we are getting it up and running. Importantly, our students are in the process of course selection, students and families. So we're beginning the process of meeting with their guidance counselors to choose their classes for next year. Just so all parents and students are aware, our program of studies, our course offerings for next year are available on the website. We also have hard copies available in guidance. And again, parents should be receiving the notification of when that meeting is. I encourage all parents to attend as it's, if possible, because it's really important in terms of their child's schedule next year. We have Regents exams next week, and we have our incoming 9th grade night for all the 8th graders, their first introduction and parents' first introduction to the building. That's this Thursday night. And I do have for you a copy. Thank you to Ms. Batiste for making copies of the,
Right.
So
Oh, nice.
just take one and pass it down, and maybe for the folks who are not here, we can get those to them.
Very good.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Sarah.
Yep, you got it.
Karen, tell me about FLES program.
So we had a group of second graders who were prepared to come last evening to talk about Spanish class. But since we canceled the meeting, Senorita Tavares is going to video them today because they were all very prepared to talk about their favorite things about learning Spanish. So I will share that video with you all once it's put together.
Yeah, put it in February. You want to put it, the video, we'll show it at the board meeting in
Perfect.
February?
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
For the little ones, to delay the presentation after they've worked hard on memorizing their sentence or two is difficult. So we figured we'd record them today and then pass that
Good
along.
idea.
That's good. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. All right, public comment. Jason, do you have anybody on the line for public comment?
Give me one moment. We have no one on the line for public comment.
Terrific. Does anybody for public comment in the audience? I don't think we have anybody to make a comment. Right, so we'll move on to the consent agenda. We have a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Superintendent's reports and recommendations. Item number 1, recommend the board accept the letter of resignation from Julissa Flordo for the position of elementary education teacher, leave replacement, and that the board approve the instructional appointment to the position of E&L teacher. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Second? Discussion?
Moving up, opening came, filling a leave, moving into a permanent probationary position.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations. Number 2, Recommend the board approve the instructional appointment of Anthony Dvorak to the position of driver's education teacher. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second,
Second.
discussion?
As we talked about the
Yeah.
additional enrollment in driver's ed, want to make sure all of our kids can get it.
Terrific. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I got a question. I can't abstain.
You can
vote.
You're allowed to vote.
You can
We
vote.
have a four,
You can vote.
You can vote.
You can vote.
I can vote,
Yes. You can
but if
vote.
I abstain, we don't have a,
That's correct.
oh, so I can vote.
You can vote.
The other way.
So because it's my grandson.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a gift to the school, and the school is a gift to him.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 3, recommend the board grant Brittany Thompson, we already did that. Can we do it again, or no, we don't need to do it?
No, we don't need to do it
All
again.
right, good. Old time's sake, all right. So number 4, recommend the board approve the memorandum of agreement between the East Hampton Union Free School District and the East Hampton Union Free School District's, School-Related Professionals Association regarding a one-time retirement incentive for the 2023-24 school year. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Just simple, working with our units to create an incentive, and you'll see in the next item that some people did take it.
Good. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 5, letters of retirement. I recommend the board accept the letters of retirement, the letters of resignation for the purposes of retirement. And we start with Lorraine Hayes, Lisa Garego, James Howard Wood, Bonnie Hayes, Joyce Daniels, and Raphael Geraldo. Can I have a motion?
Make motion.
Second.
Second? Discussion?
A lot of,
Congratulations.
yep, a lot of people with a lot of years, and they've given their
A lot
heart
of
and souls to
people you
this
know.
district. Yep.
Yeah.
Congratulations to them,
Wow.
Yes,
you know?
and thank you for their
Yeah,
service.
thank you for your, absolutely. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 6, recommend the board approve the contract agreements for the 2023-24 school year. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second? Any discussion?
It's just an evacuation agreement with the clubhouse. Thank you very much. And we've already been working with the retreat, so this is just a formalized update of their agreement and working with our kids and our high school.
Is there any cost associated with doing that?
The retreat? No, actually, it's through a grant, right, Sarah? The retreat? Yeah, they applied for a grant. We were part of their grant, so
I
it's
see,
no cost. They're great.
to us, great.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 7, recommend the board accept the annual external audit corrective action plan ending June 30th, 2023. Have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Second? Any discussion?
Sam, just standard stuff.
The auditor made a comment that there are a couple of clubs that didn't have any activities during the year, the extra classroom audit, and they wanted those issues resolved. So resolved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 8, recommend the board approve the awarded bids for the 2023-24 school year. And this is for our projects that we've got going on,
Yes.
the lanai patio,
Mhm.
going out on the side. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second?
And this is all the bids, we were grateful they came in
Yeah,
on the
we
budget.
came in right where we need to be for this, the lanai patio for the high school. Construction, I anticipate starting, and we talked about it in facilities, this summer. It should happen, shouldn't interfere with anything here. It'll be outside, and we're very happy.
It's gonna be
with, yeah, it's gonna be really nice.
And we had to accept the lowest responsible bidder, but the good thing is they look like good contractors.
And our architect does his due diligence with those companies and is confident that they can handle the job.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And let's see, number 9, recommend the board approve the proposal from Island Pump and Tank LLC. Have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion?
This is the 2,000 gallon tank for the transportation center. Finally, so what do you think? 3 months before they got to get, as soon as it's approved, 3 months,
The shop drawings, they have to obtain the tank, so
maybe
3
longer.
to 4 months.
But again, this is, under budget, right?
This is paid for out of funds that were left over in the building of the transportation center, so we're well within budget and well within need.
Right.
We have a need.
Oh, yeah.
This will allow us to fuel our own buses and then not have to use the town facility.
Correct. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 10, recommend the board approve the budget transfers for the 2023-24 school year. Can I have a motion?
I make it.
Second? Any details you want to provide, Sam, or we standard stuff?
Standard stuff to balance out there.
Terrific. Everybody on the board have a comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And then we're on to new business.
Facilities. So I wanted to inform the board, we had contracted with SoundSense to take a look at the noise and the coming off our football fields, really on two levels. One from our own facilities, our own equipment, meaning the PA speakers. And then for people who kind of disregard what we say about going on there and playing music. So basically this has started in the summer with meetings with SoundSense, which is obviously a local company in Waynescott, with real sound engineers. And then basically they met with us, they met with our neighbors and whatnot. They made some recommendations for the new sound system when we put it in. Luke was present, some engineering we have to do and build around our speakers and how sound gets to the other side of the field and whatnot. We're pretty confident in that when we put our own stuff in, it'll be much better, much cleaner. And actually what I learned is it'll be played at a lower level because the sound will actually be coming in different places. I forgot the specifics. But one of the other things, and again, our neighbors are very pleased with the way we have, and Kathy Masterson regulates our athletic use of the speaker in our PA system. There have been no athletic related incidents over the last year or so. What continues to happen though is still people disregard the messages that say no music playing on the turf. People bring their own portable things. And this is, again, we're not talking about 3 in the afternoon. We're talking about 8 a.m., 9 a.m. in the morning on Saturday or Sunday. So some of the recommendations, one of their specific recommendations was soundproofing, putting up a soundproof barrier on existing fence, expanding fence, and then putting soundproofing material on that. That cost is going to be well into the 6 figures and result into maybe a 10 decimal decrease in sound. Really not your bang for your buck. And I've already spoke to our neighbors about it. I let Kate know what was going on there with that. The better thing to do is kind of us rotating our own field security, which we already have. Just rotate our security. So Sam is working on that with Pondview and Jay Diamond. And again, building something is, it's going to obstruct views on both ends. It just, would decrease it 10 decimals. It's not for $250,000. It's just a waste of money. So rather we have security, we rotate them through. All we have to do is change certain rotations and timings of stuff.
So Adam, we have just recently brought on Pondview, the local security system, and they're much better than we had.
It's not even much better. It's a different level of service. Night and day. It's a local company, understands our local school related needs, incredibly responsive, to everybody. I mean, I think the principals are happy with them. I would think. I know Sam is. So,
and I think if you take it from just the noise in the field, when security's here, I don't know if people, we have go-kart racing in the on Sundays in the parking lot. We've got people flying drones, airplanes, group events that are happening here, organized group events that are not supposed to be here. They can take care of all those things. And it's great to be kind to our neighbors, which I think we're due to, we need to do that. But it's also the liability that the district takes with somebody getting hurt out here. We've got pro tennis players giving lessons on our tennis courts, charging people to use our facilities. So this sort of covers the whole gamut. We get a lot, talking about bang for your buck, you get a lot more bang for your buck because someone's here to actually look, pay attention, and talk to these people and tell them that's very nice, but go do it at home.
And our facilities are for our students.
Correct.
And when a student group come, there's a permit process, and we welcome that.
Yep.
And our individual taxpayers are free to also use facilities to be, but there can be groups that take advantage of that policy, and Pondview helps stop that, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Good. Anything else under, public comment? Anybody, Jason, do you have anybody for public comment?
Still no.
I
Okay.
would like to just say that, I wanted to thank Sarah and the high school students that came to the Martin Luther King program, and thank St. Luke's and Calvary Baptist Church. They started this year having an interfaith, Martin Luther King program that includes everybody in our community. It was a huge success. I hope it's the beginning of a new way for us to celebrate Martin Luther King's Day. But we had 2 high school students speak,
They were awesome.
and they were awesome, and they also brought their artwork, some of the artwork,
That's
and it was great. And I just wanted to thank everybody publicly.
And thank you to Ms. Dunn for working with those students to
Yes,
get them ready.
yes.
awesome. Anybody else have a comment? We're good? Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Right.